Hello and a very warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV. Paul Alster back with you once again with more racing selections for the weekend of Saturday the 13th and Valentine's Day, Sunday the 14th of February. We have a revised number of selections here for you because, of course, we've lost the meetings at Newbury and Warwick. I put in quite a few hours work into that and was quite confident, including a very big price runner in the Betfair Trophy, but that will have to wait at least a week and we're dependent on the weather. Lingfield and Chelmsford don't appeal the all-weather cards, so I'm going to be looking at the Irish racing over the weekend at Naas and at Punchestown. But before I go any further, let me just remind you that if you haven't already done so, then press the subscribe button and also press the bell icon so you'll be able to follow all our bulletins going forward and you won't miss a trick. Now, let's just talk about last week very quickly, because once again, we hit the target. And I'm delighted to say that A Wave of the Sea, who was recommended at 16 to 1, he did the business, didn't he, for us, for Simon Torrance, who's really making a name for himself, and Joseph O'Brien. He was sent off at 12 to 1. I know, judging by the messages, that quite a few of you were on this one, and he did it really well. He was given a peach of a ride as well. So that was a terrific way to ensure that we showed a good profit last weekend. So well done indeed to A Wave of the Sea. I have to say, I think we were a bit unlucky not to get at least one or two more in with it. First of all, Ashington, who we recommended at 15 to 2 at Musselburgh, was back down to 5 to 2. So we got that bit right. We got the right horse as far as the odds were concerned. Travelled perfectly well, then dropped out very quickly. And to my eyes, something appeared to have gone wrong. And I was very surprised to see that he continued to the finish, where even commentator Ian Bartlett on ITV pointed out that the horse looked lame. He was indeed lame. So it was a surprise that he was sent over the last 3 flights of hurdles. So that was unfortunate because the horse clearly was fancied. So we were barking up the right tree there. Mum's Tipple was fascinating at Lingfield, a horse we recommended to you. Again, we recommended at 12 to 1. It was sent off 13 to 2 under Ryan Moore. Three times it was stopped inside the final furlong and a half. And in the end, he couldn't ride him out because there was nowhere to go. Still, the horse was only beaten less than 2 lengths on his first start for ages. And I was just stunned to read the Racing Post's analysis saying that the horse clearly isn't what he used to be. That's absolute rubbish. The horse, to me, retains his ability. If he got a clear run, I'm pretty convinced he would have gone very, very close to winning. And I think Mum's Tipple is one for another day. And I think he'll have his day. Ciel de Neige over at Leopardstown ran very well in the big hurdle, but just got tired in the last furlong and a half or so. And then on the Sunday, Fitzhenry, well, he went off at 33 to 1 in the big handicap chase. He was going perfectly well early on when he was really badly hampered by Blazer in the same ownership of JP McManus, who fell. And that was his race all but run, although he did recover very well going to 3 out to have some sort of a chance, but the effort of getting back into it took its toll. I think Fitzhenry's another to maybe bear in mind for the future. Also, we'd given you one for our anti-post book for Cheltenham Hador, who ran in the Grade 1 on the Sunday, and on the face of it appeared disappointing, but I knew within a furlong that this was not going to be the day. The horse was very lit up under Rachel Blackmore and simply pulled far too hard over the first 2 or 3 flights. And in the end, she allowed it to coast home because it had burnt itself out. It's gone out from 20 to 50 to 1 now on the anti-post book. And I've got to admit, I've stepped back in and had a bit of 50s because the horse that I saw first time in Ireland a few weeks ago is a horse that I still think has a big chance in the Cheltenham Festival in the Triumph Hurdle. So I'm suggesting don't give up on Hador, and you could very easily step back in and have a bit of the 50 to 1 each way for the Triumph Hurdle on the Friday of the big meeting next month. Now to our selections this week. As I say, Newbury and Warwick abandoned. Lingfield and Chelmsford doesn't get me interested. And as you know, those that follow my tips regularly, I do broadcast quite a lot on Irish racing, and I follow a lot of what goes on over there. So it's by no means a second chance I'm taking here. These are horses that I would have been looking at anyway. The first at Naas in the 2:15 Saturday, a 2.5 mile handicap chase, €16,000, mainly exposed handicappers. But there is one horse who I think is very interesting, and his name is Sovereign Gold, trained by Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore, the outstanding Irish jockey, really, of the season. She's leading the Jockeys' Championship, and she is just a sensation. She's probably the best ever female jockey in Britain and Ireland. She's on board Sovereign Gold, who interests me because he's a dual point-to-point winner just over a year ago, and he made his rules debut in a maiden hurdle a few months after that at Ballinrobe, and then he went to Thurles in October and finished fourth there under rules, having finished third the time before. He was a fair fifth, but hampered, still finished fifth in a chase on his chasing bow at Limerick just before New Year. And then, this is what I like, this very eye-catching 5th of 13 last time out in a 2-mile 1 furlong Fairy House contest just 4 weeks ago. And if you watch the video, Rachel certainly didn't knock him about. And he was very tenderly handled before staying on very nicely indeed in the closing stages. And I'd suggest that he's likely to improve, particularly as Saturday will be his very first time in a handicap. He's against exposed horses, he's unexposed, and he's in upper mark of 116. Now, at the time of this recording on Friday lunchtime, there's only the one firm up, and they're offering 6-1 each way, and I think that will be at least the odds. So do remember, as I always advise you, bet with a bookmaker who's going to give you the SP if it's bigger than the price you take. So at least 6-1 each way, Sovereign Gold in the 2:15 at Naas. And then on Saturday, also at Naas, a little later on at 4 o'clock, a 2-mile 3 furlong auction hurdle where the weights are determined according to how much these horses cost at auction. There's also as well the factor that if they're winners, they carry penalties as well. Now, this is a pretty good race. We've got a number of horses coming into the race with rock-solid form, winning form, the likes of You Raise Me Up and Petit Bonhomme, It Could Be You, Feel Good Island and Gevry. But an interesting runner here is a horse called All About Joe. He's trained by Colin Murphy. He's the mount of Mark McDonough, who we don't have an image for because he's a young conditional jockey with only limited experience, but he's ridden a couple of winners. And All About Joe, a 7-race maiden for the Colin Murphy yard, who of course many of you will remember for the exploits of the great Brave Inca, who we won a champion hurdle with back in about 2005, 2006, something like that. So this is a very good trainer, Colin Murphy. This horse, a maiden, but was second in March 2020 at Thurles over 2 miles and 7 furlongs in a maiden hurdle. He was second, just beaten a Nectar-born Patriot at Punchestown in November of 2 miles 5 furlongs. And he travelled well at Limerick last time out when they made him favourite, going like a good un, and then he stopped very quickly. Now, he was pulled up, and I've mentioned this a few times with a variety of different horses that we've supported and made good money from over the last few months, that sometimes when horses stop very quickly, it's a breathing issue. And they actually did report afterwards that he made a respiratory noise and finished distressed, probably along with some of those punters that took the 6-4 that particular day. Well, this time, thankfully, he wears a first-time tongue tie and he drops in trip. So I think that this is ready-made for him to run a much better race, even though this is a hot contest. But I think this horse has got good form, and on collateral form lines, he really does have a rock-solid each-way chance. Now, there were no prices being offered at the time of this recording. The Racing Post forecast was 12-1. The Sporting Life went in at 8-1. So he's probably, let's call it a 10-1 shot each way. He could well go quite a bit bigger. So that is All About Joe. Each way, probably 10-1 or bigger, double figure odds at Naas in the 4 o'clock. And just while I remember talking about tongue ties and pulling up, course, this week they announced that our old favourite York Hill, who did the business for us at 66-1 back in November, he's been retired. He's picked up an injury, and at his age, they're not going to persevere with him after all he's done in a great career. So I want to say thank you on my behalf and yours to York Hill for that wonderful day at Newcastle in the rehearsal chase, and to wish him a very long and very happy and healthy retirement. And wonderful to see him going out just about in one piece. And all credit to the trainer, Sandy Thompson, and of course to owner Lee Westwood, the golfer, and his partners. So that's York Hill and all about Joe being the selection. I'm going to come quickly to our final selection, which is on Sunday. Now, I know you'll all be out with the missus with a romantic lunch somewhere, even if you're picnicking in the snow in the back garden with a bottle of bubbly and a couple of sausages from the barbecue. But Punchestown, a good card on Sunday in bad ground. It's the Grand National Trial, 3.5 miles, soft to heavy ground. And this race, I think, is a very, very interesting contest. And I haven't written down what time it's off, but I'm sure you'll find it there, the Grand National Trial on Sunday. It might be around 3:40 or something like that on Sunday. Now, loads of horses, with Jigginstown having a battalion of horses, many of whom have pulled up last time out and are probably going to go much better this time. But an interesting runner here. And I'm turning to our old pal, Joseph O'Brien. Not so much an old pal, he's young, the baby-faced assassin, of course. Already a great trainer, dual Irish champion, jockey, classic winner. He's done it all, and he's doing just about as much as a trainer as well. And he's booked Donna Myler, who's a very good rider out in Ireland, to ride a horse called Themistocles. Themistocles, a decent hurdler, this horse, at up to 3 miles. He's only had the 3 runs over fences, and this is why I like him, because he's very unexposed. And I don't think Joseph would put a horse in against all these seasoned, gnarled old staying handicappers if he didn't think it could go well. So a decent hurdler at up to 3 miles, fell on his chasing bow at Thurles in November, but then third and only beaten a length over 2.25 miles at Limerick in March. And then just 6 days after that, he went up to 2 miles, 6 furlongs at Thurles, and he beat a decent horse called Mythbuster. Now, that's pretty good form, and this horse does look as if he'll stay, and he certainly handles the testing ground. Now, he had a spin around in a 2 mile handicap hurdle 2 weeks ago at Naas, which was far too short for him. And as you might expect, he was only just getting going at the end of that 2 miles, finished 5th of 17. And he was staying on very nicely indeed. And I just think that given a trainer in form who's such a dab hand at placing them, and with a good jockey on board, trying a new trip, but giving the impression that he probably will stay, I think he's worth a chance at double figure odds. We don't have any prices at all at the time, but I'm expecting he'll be 10 to 12 to 1, something like that. Themistocles is the name of the horse at Punchestown in the Grand National Trial on Saturday. So that's about all I have for you for this weekend. Let's hope that the weather improves and we'll be able to get to see some of the horses that are likely to appear for us at the Cheltenham Festival in 4 or 5 weeks' time. Until then, stay warm, stay well, stay safe. Let's hope that we got a run for our money from these horses out in Ireland over the weekend. And I look forward to you joining me once again next weekend for our racing tips. So Paul Alster signing off. Take care and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.